All of us feel like we often work under pressure sometimes, but there are some of us who put ourselves through intensive training in order to make ourselves better, stronger, more focused.
And it's all part of his training that makes the elite stand out, like friend and client Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson, who is just an incredible athlete and helps him to craft simple goals that make all the difference. And so these are approaches that can help not only elite athletes, but any goal-oriented person.
So Trevor Moawad is joining us now to see what we can take, the regular Joe, from some of the training that you do with these high-level athletes. And we were supposed to show a clip of you working with the quarterbacks where they were taking a test, and then there was all kinds of screaming up in their face going on, right? So tell us a little bit about what you do with these elite athletes and what maybe we can glean from that.
Sort of apply? Well, I think it's a very interesting world, sports. I think the unique sort of characteristic that's common is the scoreboard. I think we all, it's a sort of publicly traded commodity Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, so you're sort of putting your performance out there for everybody to judge. So I think when we looked at the overall process, we know that the physical component's big and understanding what to do actually in the sport, but there's a mental component as well in terms of how I think, how I approach it, how I look at the good, how I look at the bad. So some organizations and some elite athletes are investing in that just like they train their bodies.
Yeah.
And so Dustin Johnson's the #1 golfer in the world.
Yeah.
They were talking about how he has the ability during tough conditions like this weekend to set those aside and actually never be negative about it, to look at that as a personal challenge. And then he's so calm when any problems come up. Is that kind of similar to what you're talking about, and being able to put your mind in the right place?
Yeah, I think, look, at the subconscious level, we have a constant running dialogue. And if you doubted that, you would be asking yourself, do I have a dialogue? As you had a dialogue, right? Some estimate it's almost 1,000 words a minute. But at any given moment, we can only think about one thing at a time. And there's really no such thing as blocking things out. It really is what you put your mind on. And the goal Russell and I had, I think, in the show Quarterback to Quarterback, where we replaced the John Gruden show, was to demystify the psychological element. There's so much emphasis on being positive and mindfulness, which is great, but to me that's kind of like AP US history in 11th grade without 8th grade American history. And the positive thinking is powerful, but it creates a lot of anxiety. And I think the science is telling us that less negative is more powerful than more positive. So we really teach to be less negative, and particularly verbalizing it, and to be a neutral thinker, which is, if anyone watched the show, they would learn a little bit about.
So one of the things Russell said about you is that you taught him essentially to, do simple better?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
So I think we look at sports from the complicated elements, but, you know, are you going to bed on time? Do you get up and stretch? And Russ is a unique person, spends about 5 hours a day outside of practice just working on his body. Every Thursday during the season, I go up and I meet with him. But our philosophy is that you don't need to be sick to get better.
Okay.
So we're looking at it proactively, and I think always the psychological element is viewed from the negative point of view. If I have a problem, how do I solve it? Whereas, how can I solve problems before they ever become problems?
I called you because I had read about you in Sports Illustrated and was surprised that you were right here in the Valley on occasion when you're not away on a job.
Yes.
But we've been seeing so much in the news about, high-profile celebrities committing suicide, people just feeling depressed and kind of giving into a sense of malaise, across communities. What do you say to people who feel like, gosh, there's something about me that, I feel, negative, or I can't cut through to success like some other people can? I mean, does everybody have it in them, or?
Well, I mean, the goal for each of us is to use what we have.
Yeah.
I mean, so often we get caught up comparing ourselves relative to what we don't have that we forget to use what we do have. I mean, look at Russell's a great example, right? He's 5'10". Nobody would expect him to do what he's done, and yet he's found a way to do it by using what he has. So do simple better. What that really means is, if we know, Harvard recently released a study that our brains are wired to receive negativity 7 times more powerful than positivity. So what if I don't watch the news for 6 hours? What if I don't listen and sort of indulge myself in the negativity? And particularly, what if I stop verbalizing things that don't help me? It's 8:37, I'm on 101 headed east, somebody pulls in front of me and I say, it's going to be another one of those days. Well, what we know is if I articulate that, it makes it 10 times more likely to happen. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it makes it more probable to happen. So what we do in the sports is not to try to be more positive, but to limit the negative, particularly our articulation of it.
I think that's something we can all
I think
follow.
it's so fascinating. Yeah. Is there anything that you do on a daily basis just to help?
Yeah, I think I'm really outside of watch you guys in the morning.
Thank you.
I think what I really do is monitor the music I listen to when I wake up, and I'm really mindful of the things that I say out loud. Nike in 1988 came up with Just Do It, and in 18 months it made like $9 billion. I have an opportunity to influence myself with my own marketing campaign. Look, we can't control everything that's happening to us out there in the world, and it's sort of a unique time in our country, right? But
yeah,
to the degree that we can control things, what we watch, what we listen to, what we associate, I think those are the areas we have to control, and we have to do those simple things better.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Really nice.
You bet. My pleasure.
Yeah,
Not just the
appreciate you
famous
coming on.
athletes. We got a little bit of it too.
There you go.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
guys.
Great to meet you, Trevor Moawad.